Good day, future CPAs. I am John Coberenante, your co-JPIA, and now we are going to discuss property, plant, and equipment. So, bago ang lahat, what is PPE? So, PPE is short for property, plant, and equipment. So, obviously, property, plant, and equipment are tangible. Ibig sabihin, nakahawakan natin ito. They are used in business, production or supply of goods or services for rental purposes, and many, many more. And it's expected to be used over a period of more than 1 year. Crucial to, dapat alam nito na more than 1 year, meaning it's a non-current asset. Examples of which include land improvements, building, machinery, and many more. Lahat ng ito usually naman ay nagtatagal for more than 1 year. Kaya it is recognized as PPE. Okay? So, like other assets, PPEs are recognized for the following. If and only if it is probable na merong benefit na makukuha mula dito and yung cost ng asset na ito ay madali mong malalaman. Okay? It is probable that there are benefits and the cost can be known reliably. So one note before we go to the measurement, spare parts and servicing equipment can be confused as PPE. So there are distinctions between these. So spare parts and servicing equipment generally, since they are used for repairs and maintenance, they are usually carried as inventory and recognized as an expense when consumed. At ang expense na ito is called repairs and maintenance expense usually. Okay? However, major spare parts equipment and standby equipments, okay, are qualified as PPE. Bakit? Description of PPE, expected to be used for more than a year. So standby equipments, major spare parts, major. So they can be used for more than 1 year. Therefore, they can be qualified as PPE. Now, alam na natin kung alin ang i-recognize as PPE. Ngayon, ang susunod naman natin, how should we measure these PPEs? Okay. Initially, PPEs are measured at cost. Ano yung cost? The amount of cash or cash equivalent paid and the fair value of the consideration given at the time of acquisition or construction. I repeat, at the time of acquisition or construction. Cost includes purchase price, ito lang tandaan nyo, purchase price and directly attributable costs. So directly attributable costs could include ito, directly attributable to bringing the asset to the location and condition necessary for it to be capable. So, mga transfer costs, assembly costs, ito yon. Ngayon, initial estimate of the cost of dismantling and removing the item and restoring the site on which it is located. So, meaning site preparation costs. These are some of the directly attributable costs associated in PPEs. Therefore, itong mga cost na ito, dapat nating isama sa total cost ng PPE. Okay? Now, alam na natin ang initial cost ng PPEs. Siyempre, every year end magbabago yan. Every end of reporting period magbabago yan. Subsequently, meron dalawang models ang PPE. Cost model or revaluation model. Okay. Cost model uses the typical carrying amount less any accumulated depreciation and accumulated impairment loss. Again, cost less accumulated depreciation less impairment loss. Okay. That's for the cost model. Next, Revaluation model, they are carried at revalued carrying amount. So, every date of revaluation, okay, in this type of model, chine-check natin ang fair value ng asset at the date of revaluation. So, since ang fair value naman talaga is market value and lagi siya nagbabago, so, in this type of model, the asset's value is also changing. So, ang change dito is revalued amount, okay, at fair value, less subsequent accumulated depreciation and subsequent impairment loss. Okay? So, yan ang revaluation model. The methods of each of these models will be discussed in the latter videos. Pero for this video, we will only focus on the initial measurement of PPEs. Now, let's go to the initial measurement of PPEs. So, when we acquire the property, syempre, merong iba't ibang ways kung paano natin na-acquire ang property. First off, how should we measure the acquisition of property on a cash basis? Kung cash basis ang ginamit, simple. Cash paid plus directly attributable costs. As simple as that. So, kung 1 million ang ating cash paid, tas 500,000 ang ating attributable cost, ang cost ng PPE is 1.5 million. As simple as that. Ngayon, what if, kunwari, sabihin natin merong 2 million and 3 million. Okay? Separate asset siya. Pero, na-acquire mo siya at 4 million for both. Okay? Ngayon, itong 4 million na to, okay, itong 4 million na to is called the lump sum price. Okay. Therefore, itong 4 million na ito, this is for the two assets, pero kailangan nating alamin kung magkano ang share ng each asset dito sa 4 million. Therefore, we need to apportion this single price to the assets on the basis of their relative fair value. Meaning, we will use pro rata. So, ganyan ang pagkukuha ng cost on a cash basis. Next, it's on account. So, paano kung on account nga natin kinuha yung property? So, if on account, syempre, kung subject to a cash discount, invoice price minus discount. Okay. In this type of transaction, kailangan natin tandaan na ang discount, kailangan talaga nating alamin at the start because we will record it whether it is taken or not. Regardless if taken or not, dapat nating i-less yung nakuha nating discount. Why? Because if hindi naman nakuha yung discount, we should record it as purchase discount loss, which is part of other expenses sa ating income statement. Okay? So, therefore, kailangan talaga nating malaman kung may discount nga ba talaga yung PPE na yon. Next, on installment basis. So, ang installment basis, meron kang periodic payments. So, for installment basis, assets offered at cash price and installment price, pero in-acquire mo siya at installment, okay, ang initial record dyan should be the cash price. The initial measurement, again, dapat ay cash price. Pero, itong tandaan natin, kailangan nating alamin ang excess of installment over cash price. Bakit? Kailangan natin malaman kasi kailangan natin siyang i-amortize over the credit period. Parang accounts receivable, parang notes receivable lamang ito. Okay? Kailangan natin siyang i-amortize. Okay? Because implicitly, if nagkaroon ng installment basis for this kind of transaction, implicitly, cash price is discounted. Okay? Pero, hindi naman palaging nalalaman agad ang full cash price ng PPE. Minsan, ang binibigay lamang ng company is the installment price. So, paano kung installment price lang ang nalaman natin? Kung installment lang, gagamitin naman natin dito ang effective interest method. So, kukunin natin ang present value of all payments using an implied interest rate. Parang debt instruments, parang notes receivable lamang ito. Kukunin nyo ang present value ng lahat ng payments. Next, paano naman kung share capital ang ginamit? Nakuha ng company yung property, ang binigay, share capital. So, in order of priority, tandaan nyo to, in order of priority, ang measurement ng property lamang ito ha, ang property shall be measured in this priority. So, dapat alam muna ang fair value of property received nung property mismo. Pag hindi alam yung fair value ng property received mismo, go for the fair value of the share capital. Okay? Fair value. Kung magkano binebenta yung stocks na yon in the ordinary course of business. Ngayon, kung hindi pa rin malaman yung fair value ng share capital, go for the par value, the stated value of the stock. Then, issuance of bonds payable. For bonds payable, parang sa debt instruments, financial liability is measured at fair value plus directly attributable transaction costs. So, kung ang property ay in-acquire mo using bonds payable, okay, it should be measured at the value of the bonds payable. Kung hindi malaman yung fair value ng bonds payable, then go for the fair value of asset received. Kung wala talaga yung fair value ng asset received, then go for the face amount of bonds payable. Pero, ang pinaka-priority dito is fair value of the bond used for this property. Next, if nagkaroon ng exchange for a non-monetary asset, okay, or for a combination of monetary and non-monetary asset. So, ang cost ng PPE na yon is the fair value. Tandaan natin, fair value pag nagkaroon ng exchange of non-monetary asset. Okay? Pero, there are certain situations wherein carrying amount na ang kino-consider. First, kung it lacks commercial substance or the fair value is not reliably measurable. So, pag na-meet yung kahit isa dito sa dalawang criteria na ito, use the carrying amount. Pero kung with commercial substance at reliably measurable ang fair value, then wala tayong problem, go for the fair value. So, for the recognition of PPE, kung binenta natin, kung na-dispose na siya, so the cost of the PPE together with its accumulated debt shall be removed from the accounts. Hindi pwedeng maiwan yung accumulated depreciation kasi, mind you, accumulated depreciation is a contra-asset account against the PPE. So, kung aalisin mo yung PPE from the book of accounts, aalisin mo din yung kasama niyang accumulated depreciation. Then, gain or loss from this derecognition shall be included in the profit and loss statement. So, ang gain or loss, paano natin malalaman? It's the difference between the net disposal proceeds. So, usually, it's the selling price of the PPE and the carrying amount of the item. Carrying amount, cost less accumulated depreciation. So, there are certain PPEs that are classified as held for sale. Okay, so for an overview, Properties are classified as held for sale if the asset is available for immediate sale. Ibig sabihin, kinlassify na na company as gusto na nilang ibenta within the year. Okay? So, kung gusto na ng company na ibenta tong PPE na ito, it shall be excluded from PPE. Pero, kailangan nyo pa rin siyang i-present as a current asset called non-current assets held for sale. Again, non-current assets held for sale. Okay? These kinds of assets shall not be depreciated kasi ipagbebenta nyo na ito. And it is measured initially at the lower of carrying amount or fair value less cost of disposal. Okay? Measured at the lower of carrying amount or fair value less cost of disposal or cost to sell. Ito ay at the time of reclassification as held for sale. Okay? So, kung ito ang gagamitin nyo, kung mas mababa ang fair value less cost of disposal sa carrying amount, so yung write-down niya, kailangan natin siyang i-consider as impairment loss na ating i-re-record.
Now, we are going to talk about idle or abandoned property. So, context clues, idle or abandoned property means in Tagalog, napabayaan ng property or hindi pa ginagamit na property. Ngayon, these kinds of property shall not be classified as held for sale kasi the carrying amount will be recovered principally through continuing use. Furthermore, hindi ibig sabihin na abandoned or idle na ay hindi na i-depreciate yung asset. Okay? So, kung naka-idle or abandoned yung PPE, well, kailangan pa rin ituloy yung depreciation dun sa asset na yun. December 31 to the sample problems para mas lalo nyo maintindihan ang topic na to. So for our first problem, on December 31, 2021, big corporation purchased a machine in exchange for a non-interest-bearing note requiring 6 payments. Tandaan nyo, 6 payments of 250,000 pesos each. The first payment was made on December 31, 2021, and the others are due annually on December 31. At the date of issuance daw, the prevailing rate of interest for this type of note was 10%. As initial. So, for the first question, how much should be recorded as initial cost of the machine? So, para malaman natin kung anong initial cost of the machine, since ang problem na ito is concerning a non-interest note, non-interest bearing note, so kailangan natin makuha ang present value ng payments sa note na yon. Dahil yon ang magiging initial cost of the machine. So, paano makukuha yon? So, to get the present value, we will multiply the payments by the present value factor. The formula is 1 minus 1 plus the prevailing rate, which is 10%, raised to negative n. So, in this case, negative 6, since 6 payments ang kailangan. Divided by the prevailing rate ulit, negative 10. Ngayon, bakit nagkaroon dito ng 1 ng times 1 plus 0.10? Ngayon, so kung babalikan niyo yung problem, okay, ang first payment daw ay kasabay ng acquisition of the machine. Okay, so December 31, 2021 na-acquire, and December 31, 2021 din nagkaroon ng first payment. So, ibig sabihin, ang gagamitin nating formula is annuity due. So, in the formula of annuity due, kailangan nating i-multiply pa yung present value sa 1 plus the prevailing rate. So, 250,000 times the answer of this, which is 4.79079, give us the initial cost of the machine na 1,197,697. Now, since note payable ang pinag-uusapan natin dito, pwedeng tanungin, how much is the discount on the note payable? So, para makuha natin yon, note payable minus the present value of the note payable. So, imumultiply natin yung payments sa kung ilang payments ang kailangan. 250,000 times 6 payments is the face value of the note payable, which is 1,500,000. Ngayon, isusubtract natin ang nakuha nating present value of note payable, which is 1,197,697, to give us the answer of 302,303. Ngayon, siguro matatanong ninyo, paano natin to i-entry sa ating journal? Katulad lang, yon, para ma-entry natin ito sa journal, ganito lamang ang format niya. So, katulad lang sa notes receivable, ngayon, ang pag-uusapan naman natin dito is note payable. Parehas lang ang kanyang format, pero iba ang kanyang entry. Okay, ulit. Parehas lang ang kanyang paraan ng pagkuha, pero iba ang entry. Okay? So, first journal entry is the acquisition of the equipment. Okay? So, nakuha na natin yung present value of the future payments, which is 1,197,697. So, yan ang ating i-entry as debit sa ating equipment. Then, credit natin ang notes payable, which is the face value na 1,500,000. Then, the difference of these two, ang magiging discount on notes payable debit natin, which is 302,303. Ngayon, magtataka kayo, journal entries. So, ibig sabihin, meron pang isang entry on December 31, 2021. Ngayon, ano ang entry na ito? This is the first payment of the note payable. So, i-entry na din natin ito. For the purposes of this discussion, isa-separate natin siya. So, notes payable debit, which is 250,000, and cash, which is 250,000. Since nabayaran na natin yung isang part ng notes payable na ito. Now, the next question is, how much is the interest expense for 2022? Okay, so para makuha natin ang interest expense for 2022, ganito lamang. So, kukunin natin yung present value of the note payable, which is 1,197,697, less the first payment on December 31, 2021, which is 250,000, which will give us 947,697. Then, imumultiply natin siya by the prevailing interest rate, which is 10%. And the interest expense for 2022 is 94,769 pesos and 70 cents. So, ganun lamang ang pagkuha ng interest expense for the succeeding years. Now we go to our second problem. So, on July 1, Mad Company had a delivery van which was destroyed in an accident. So, nasira daw siya sa aksidente. On that date, the carrying amount of the van was 350,000 pesos. On July 15, the entity received and recorded a 100,000 peso invoice for a new engine installed and another 70,000 pesos invoice for various repairs. In August, the entity received 600,000 pesos under an insurance policy on the van, which it plans to use to replace the van. How much should be reported as gain on disposal of the van? Okay, Para makuha natin ang ating gain on disposal of the van, kailangan muna nating makuha ang carrying amount ng van na yon. So para makuha, ang current carrying amount niya as of July 1 sa problem is 350,000 pesos. Ngayon, since nagkaroon ng aksidente, nagkaroon ng repair sa van na yon. Ngayon, the cost of the new engine daw is 100,000 pesos. So the new engine is installed in the van. So i-include natin siya sa carrying amount ng van. Ngayon, magtataka kayo, bakit wala yung 70,000 na repair cost? Tatandaan, yung repair cost nga is not to be included as PPE unless it's deemed as major repair. Okay? So, 70,000 pesos is deemed as expense. So, makukuha natin ngayon ang adjusted carrying amount na 450,000 as of August. Ngayon, sa August, nagkaroon ng proceeds from insurance policy na 600,000. Ngayon, para makuha yung gain on disposal, isusubtract lang natin sa proceeds ang nakuha nating carrying amount, which is 450,000, which will give us the gain on disposal na 150,000 pesos. Ngayon, where should this be presented? Saan nga ba dapat to i-present? Yes, you got it right. Sa profit or loss statement.
That is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have learned something. Follow JPIA on their social media accounts for more tutorials and accounting updates. So until then, JPIANs, ingat palagi, stay safe, and padayon mga CPAs.